right, good afternoon. Just kind of a recap last week. Felt like it's been a while since we played, but last week. But obviously a good showing out there in Durham, down at Duke. Our guys came out and played right from the start. Had a really good game offensively. Incredible game on offense. Hard to do much better than we did. And Malik with a unbelievable performance. It still starts up front. Our offensive line's played great, really most of the season this year. As you look at kind of the transformation over the last 3 years of what we've been able to do up front. Really proud of those guys, how they've come along, and we're playing 7 guys up front on a rotational basis, doing some great things, and then really spreading the ball out. I think at the receiver room, there's about 4 or 5 guys that have made some huge impact plays, catching the football and, scoring with the football. Has been great the last couple of games to see that, and then Malik's, played with great poise the last 2 games and then ran the ball outstanding against Duke the other night. So, then I think, defensively, wasn't our best performance, but it was very solid. I do think we still got too many penalties on that side of the ball, extending drives. But I think just overall we held them to field goals. I think that was huge in the first half. I think they got 3 field goals, and so we were able to extend the leads with our touchdowns. So, I think overall we're excited about getting an opportunity to play postseason. That was huge for our team to be able to play in a bowl game, which is fun. Going to be around these seniors a little bit longer, which leads us into this week. Senior day for us, and an opportunity to finish off the season with 7 wins and, playing a good Kentucky team, a team that's won 8 games. And, you think about what they've been able to do this year, transfer quarterback, transfer receiver, both of them very productive. Running back is very good. Rodriguez, he's been solid for the last couple of years. And, and it starts up front for them. They got a really strong offensive line. One thing I remember from 2019 is O-line, D-line was very strong on both sides of the ball. They're still that way this year. And defensively, they're a defense that doesn't give up many big plays. They keep everything in front of them. They rally to the ball, play hard, and then normally it keeps them in a game defensively, but not giving up these big plays. So, very solid football team, but looking forward to the opportunity for them to host them this year and to play here in front of our crowd, and hopefully we'll have a great crowd, and that's going to be a great atmosphere Saturday night.
Scott, you mentioned the transformation of the offensive line from when you got here until now. Can you kind of put in words how far they have come, and then how difficult it is after a couple of years? Then you got a new coach also. I mean, to throw that mix in there.
Yeah, it's it's hard to put it in words. How far they've come along, and just from where we were at and to where we are now is really night and day. I mean, and a lot of those guys that are playing now were playing then. And they were young and they've grown a lot, and they've become really, really good football players. Obviously, Becton was a great player that we had that year, but then the rest of them kind of guys have just grown into it. And Adonis Boone, Renato, Caleb Chandler's played. I think Caleb Chandler's had an outstanding season this year. He's an all-ACC offensive lineman this year, in my opinion, for sure. Cole Bentley's had a really solid year, and he's played a ton of football. He's kind of the veteran of the group. Brian Hudson has come in here and done a great job for us at center and at guard. And then Michael Gonzalez as a true freshman has really added to the mix with those guys up front. It's just Trevor Reed's a guy we end up signing him from GMC, and very athletic offensive tackle. So just kind of put those all together, and they've played really, really solid this year. And I think going from one of the worst teams with tackles for loss and sacks given up to one of the better ones, it's been great to see. And all the while we've still been able to run the football and throw the ball. We're very balanced on offense. We'll average over 200 throwing and running again for the 3rd straight year, which there's probably only a couple teams in the country that have done that over the last 3 years. And that says a lot about the guys up front, because that's where it all starts. So, really proud of them.
Scott, with this game not being played last year, is there maybe a greater appreciation for this rivalry in this game?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's always going to be a great appreciation just playing your rival team, team right here in our state. So, it was unfortunate we didn't get to play last year with everything that went on with the COVID, and, and we're glad we're playing this year. I'm glad it's here back, because I guess it's alternating years, whatever. But I'm glad we decided to, since we didn't play last year, to bring it back here, which is good. And it's surprising to me that the Louisville, Kentucky has not played for I'm saying I don't know how it dates back to maybe in the late '90s, but why why they have not played 50, 60, 70 years, every year or whatever. That was pretty interesting to me to know that, but I think I'm glad we're playing. I think it's just a great natural rivalry. Two really good conferences coming together at the end of the season, and so yeah, it's exciting.
Scott, the importance of this Kentucky game is, it seems like it's layered. Like obviously, but helping recruiting helps just with the program in general. Where do you see the most important part of winning this game?
Yeah.
And if you do win, how do you feel like it can help you recruiting wise?
Yeah, I think it's just big in recruiting. It's big in when you think about ACC SEC matchup. When you think about just walking around every day when you're going out to eat, it's big. In our everyday life, I think it's and that's obviously big in recruiting. When you think about the state of Kentucky and in recruiting in this state, so there's a lot of facets that make this huge for us, and and then bragging rights for a whole year. You play once a year in football, and and you got to wait a whole year before you get to do it again. So there's just a lot that is on this game each and every year, and it's and as a you better have the passion, you better have that sense of urgency, you better have that focus, everything that leads up to this game this week, and that's what we've talked about starting on Sunday.
Scott, you mentioned after the Duke game that in 2019 you didn't have a full understanding and appreciation for what this rivalry means to Louisville, and that now you do. What was it between now and that game last year that you learned about this rivalry that makes it so important for not only Louisville but the fan base as well?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously knew it was a very important game. It was obviously a rival game, but for me personally, I had just gotten here, and you didn't get a full sense of it. Me personally, but I think after living here now for 3 years and being a part of it, and going to the basketball games, and then living with the fact that we got beaten in 19. I mean, that it stings big time, and as I mentioned earlier, what it means for our program is huge, but I think. For me personally, as you walk around every day, and you're going to bump into somebody that's a Louisville fan or a Kentucky fan every single day. So I'd rather us be on the winning side of that, so you got a little bit of bragging rights.
Last week you were impacted by some sickness, and 2 years back when you played Kentucky.
Yeah.
How is your team feeling this week? Coming in on Monday to play on Saturday.
Yeah, we got through that game last week. We had several that were out sick and or playing sick, and we came in Sunday. We had some more guys that popped up. Fortunately, as Sunday, so those guys hopefully will be ready to go for practice tomorrow. You kind of got your fingers crossed a little bit right now because we've had some of this sickness, and I don't think it's going away. It's a matter of can we keep our guys healthy over the next 4 or 5 days before we get out there and play on Saturday. So. Sunday we were missing a few guys, but they'll be back tomorrow, so we'll see. I think only maybe one guy, maybe two came in this morning. So, I mean, hopefully we're on the back end of it. We'll obviously know more as we get through the end of the week, but we kind of got our fingers crossed and, wearing some masks around the building and washing our hands really good, so hopefully we don't spread anymore.
Scott, with the SEC expanding and a lot of talk about a 9-game schedule, conference schedule, do you think this rivalry is in any danger? Do you think that Kentucky will keep wanting to play if they have to play an extra SEC opponent?
I don't know. That'll be interesting to see if you're playing a 9-game schedule that only leaves 3 non-conference, and how you're going to schedule that. I think that's been a huge debate for everybody throughout the college landscape of how do you schedule your non-conference, and particularly if you're having to play 9 conference games. It's a much easier when you can play 8 conference games and have 4 of the non-conference to be able to have a little bit more maneuverability to see who you want to play. So it will be interesting if we did go to 9 and where you're limited, and if you're playing such a tough schedule week in and week out, do you want to continue your non-conference to be tough as well? I think that's a dilemma and a question that administrators and have to find out and figure out. As coaches, pretty much we just play who they tell us to play. So I think you can kind of just look at what we've played this year in non-conference and what Kentucky's played this year. It's a different philosophy, really, of how you schedule your non-conference. And I think it just goes to whatever school you're at, what your philosophy may be. Well, I like playing the game. I mean, I would advocate playing us, and continue this game because I just think it's a great for this region. It's a great rivalry game, and I think the fans on both sides of it love it, and I think I like it in every other sport as well. I just think it's a game that should be played in all our sports because we're so close, and that's two really good programs.
Scott, you mentioned receivers. Jordan Watkins has come out of, I mean, this year just seems like a really good safety blanket for Malik. Just what have you seen from him this year as he continues to step into a pretty big role? And I know he emphasizes him, Marshawn, a lot of they throw 502 at you out a lot, and just their importance of embracing the city too.
Well, I think that Watkins just brings just a confidence to Malik to know that you throw him the football, he's going to catch it, man. He's got great hands, he's got great body control, he's got some really good speed. Usually big things happen when he catches it, first downs or touchdowns. I think Marshawn's the same way. He just feels very comfortable throwing him the ball. Marshawn, if the ball's in his vicinity, he's going to catch it, and he's going to convert to a first down most of the time as well. So, it's just both of those guys have made a ton of plays for us in the passing game, and it's awesome that they're right here in Louisville, and got here in different ways. We recruited Watkins pretty hard, and then Marshawn was a walk-on and has been a great player for us as well. So yeah, both of those guys are an integral part of our passing game, and they do it different ways. I think Jordan's more of the speed guy, and Marshawn, more works underneath. But they're both equally as valuable to our offense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we hoped he would. I think when we put him through, he came to our camp and put him through a lot of drills, and he could really run. He had great ball skills, but he also showed the toughness in the camp because we made it pretty tough on him. Man, he didn't bat an eye, and so you think somebody like that's going to come in here and work his way into the starting lineup, and he did it pretty daggone quick. And he's been great. He's been great for us. He's been awesome, and he's a guy that as you look to call him plays, all right, he's a guy. How can we get the ball to him? How can we maneuver to get him open because we know big things are going to happen.
Scott, when you have a guy like Malik that's playing the way that he's playing, especially the last few weeks, pretty much the whole season, his ability to run and be able to connect down the field. Does it change you as a play caller? Like, do you feel like you've maybe been a little bit more aggressive than you normally probably would be because of the way that he is and his skill set? Well,
I think, we're pretty aggressive with Malik in our play calling. We've tried to be anyway. I think sometimes it comes off more times than the others because of who we're playing. I think sometimes the defense has a lot to do with that, of how they're going to try to contain him. Last week, they were trying to be a big pressure team, and then once he broke the line of scrimmage, it's going to be a big play. And, we've played other teams where, they don't give you as many opportunities with it. So it dictates, how you're calling the game. So, but Malik's, this is what we anticipated him playing like. He's a dynamic player. He's probably, to me, he's the best dual threat quarterback in the country. His ability to run the football and score touchdowns is equally as important as his ability to throw the football. And, what's awesome about it this year is that he spread the ball around. There's not just one guy. There's a bunch of guys that have caught the ball. We're pretty balanced in our top four catchers are right around the same in yards and catches, which is neat. So now a defense can't just key in on one person. And it shows you that he's just not looking at one person either. He's looking at what the defense has given us, and then let's get those guys the ball. We've been a big play offense, since we've been here in the last 3 years. And, and that was a big question mark coming into this year. We lost a ton of playmakers. Who's going to be those playmakers? And we've spread it out. It's been a lot of different guys, including Malik. And it's been fun to see how the offense has kind of come together this year. And, hopefully this offense will continue to grow and be one of the most explosive offenses in the country.
I guess along that line, your skill guys, last couple of games, no turnovers with Malik and the backs. How much more do you feel like they're concentrating or just to not put the ball on the ground and be more careful with his checkouts?
Well, it's something we've talked about. You guys talked about it all last year, and then we came into this year knowing that we had to be better in that regard, and we have been. We've been a lot better taking care of the football. It's going to be critical this week. We got to take care of the football. We got to win that turnover margin. That's going to be a big part of this game. You know, we got to continue to do the things we've done so far. I think it's just you emphasize it, you try to concentrate on it, you know, but we don't harp on it. You know, you can't just sit there and harp on it every single day because now that becomes your only thought. Our guys are playing fast and making plays, and you know we're doing it in a way that we're, you know, you're not shooting yourself in the foot, and that's what we got to continue to be able to do.
Scott, on the defensive side of the ball, you know, you guys always harp on creating turnovers. Yeah. They're a team that has kind of handed it out like candy this year. Do you even harp on it even more, or is just kind of business as usual and just let the chips fall where they
No,
may?
we know, like I said, we know that we want to win the turnover margin, so part of that is trying to create turnovers. You know, we've had some times where we have created some good turnovers in games, and other times we haven't created many at all. You know, it was a big pick we had the other night by Marvin. You know, so you still go out there and you got to play the game. You have to play your technique. You have to do what, you know, within the scheme, and hopefully within that, then you're going to be able to create some turnovers. And you know, a lot of that has to do with who you're playing and what they're doing that day, and how are they, you know, are they loose with the ball, are they throwing into coverage, those type things. And so, you know, we obviously want to win that part of the game. If we win that part of the game, we got a great opportunity to win the game.
Scott, as well as Malik has played, do you think he's raised his draft stock so much that you can't have him back next year?
You know, I don't know about all that. You know, I think he has played well. I think there's still a lot of room for growth. I mean, I think he can continue to get better and better. You know, he has done a lot of things better this year. You know, I think a little bit like Pitt's quarterback. You know, Pitt's quarterback last year was a solid year, you know, really solid year. But what he's done this year is incredible. And now he's probably going to end up being a first-round draft pick at Pitt, you know. So I think, you know, he's a good example of why you come back and play another year, because you can continue to get better and better. And there's a big difference between it being a, you know, a fifth or sixth draft pick and a first-round draft pick. There's a lot of money on the line there.
Scott, when you look at Kentucky and and what Levis brings them as the quarterback, what is key for your defense against them?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, number one, I think you better know where that receiver's at. He's a dynamic player. He's very fast. He's, you know, one of the most explosive guys in the country this year. So you got to understand where he's at, because he will beat you. And you know, I think the big thing with Levis, you know, if he's comfortable in the pocket, then he can carve you up. I mean, he's got a big time arm. Very talented player. You got to make him uncomfortable. And that's with most quarterbacks. You know, get him off the spot. You know, try to get him to throw it either earlier than he wants to, or he's out of the pocket. Now he's got to try to make something that way. I think that's the way you kind of try to rattle him a little bit. But he's a good player. You know, they have a good offensive line, and then couple that with a really good running game with Rodriguez. I mean, he's a powerful back with great size, and he runs hard. And you know, we didn't do a great job at all in 2019 of tackling. You know, very, very poor tackling performance by us. We got to bring our feet. We got to do a much better job of wrapping up and getting them down. You know, and I think, you know, because if you don't, then they're gonna get those first downs and give you know, Levis and the rest of the offense another opportunity to try to score.
Scott, going forward, you all finished 500 in ACC play, but looking how the league shaped up this year, how much better do you think that is now that somebody else besides Clemson is, can win a division? There's more competition there, and there's less, maybe a focus on the ACC being represented in a playoff, and more about, you know, just having better competition with them.
Well, you know, this year in ACC it was as even as it's probably been maybe ever. I don't know. I mean, it was extremely competitive. Anybody could beat anybody this year in the league. It's kind of, if you look at the records from all the teams, that's what's shown there. And you know, Wake Forest was able to win 3 or 4 of those really, really close games right there at the end, and that's why they're right now sitting in the driver's seat. If they can beat Boston College this week, then they'll be our representative on our side. You know, but it's been extremely close, and I think on our side there's still 3 teams right now that still mathematically can play for it, and you know, and we're right there with them. You know, we've documented this. One play away on about 3 of these games, the last 20 seconds, and didn't find a way. Well, a team like Wake found a way, and that's why they're in the driver's seat. So, again, I talked about this. It's encouraging, the fact that we are very competitive and we're right there. We're on the cusp of being something great, and I said that 3 weeks ago. Very optimistic about this team. I'm still there. I think we got a really solid football team, a great foundation for the future. This game will be huge for us this weekend. You know, if we can go handle business against these guys and propel us in the offseason, the bowl game, and then in the offseason. It's very exciting, I think, what we got coming back and, you know, what kind of team we can have.
Scott, we've talked a lot this year about the youth on this team, but you have 14 guys that you'll honor. And of those 14, 6 or 7 of them have been around for a really long time. Can you just speak to what that group means and maybe specifically CJ, because he's kind of been that leader?
Yeah, no, we talked about that three weeks ago. It's like we want you know, at least a few more weeks with these guys, these seniors, and you know, for us, you know, we've been around them for a long time now, 3 years, and we've really gotten to know them as people. You know, I guess out on the outside, everybody gets to see him as a football player, but we get to see him every day as a human being. And it's been awesome to be around them. You know, from the program when we took over to where we are right now in this building, and they're just so pleasant to be around, and they're fun. They're fun to interact with. And, you know, I want nothing for the best for these guys when they leave here, whether it be playing football and or in life. And, you know, and we want these guys to come back and be a part of this program always. You know, and I always tell our team, you know, don't ever take for granted the opportunity to be around these guys, you know, particularly when it's in their last year, because you're going to think back on this 5 years, 10 years from now, and you're going to remember all the stories and all the cutting up that you did, and all the memories that you're going to have, positive memories with these guys. And so, yeah, we're going to miss them, and you know, we want to send them out on a high note. You know, I think they'll remember this game forever, and so we want it to be a very positive memory once we get done with this game.
Scott, you mentioned CJ. We haven't talked a lot about CJ this year, but he's just been so consistent. That's what he's been kind of his whole career. Just how important has he been to a defense that's faced a lot of injuries and a lot of adversity this year?
Yeah, he's extremely important. CJ, not only to the defense, to our football team. He's our leader. I mean, he's our guy, and has been since the day I walked in the building. He's even back then, he's extremely mature. He is very mature now. He does everything you want as a football coach. As a human being, you know, I would hire him in a second. You know, I don't care what business I have. You want him in your organization. He's that guy. You know, he's the guy that you know, if you had a daughter, you want him to marry your daughter. I mean, because he's such a solid human being. He does everything right. He's a hard worker. And he's a really good football player, you know, so he's what you want to have on your football team. And I told him whenever you get finished playing, you come on back here, we'll have a spot for you. So I don't know what else to say. I mean, that's about as good as you can say about a human being. So appreciate CJ. All right, thanks, guys.